Most people think becoming a millionaire is about earning more money. They assume that if they just make a bigger salary, they'll automatically become wealthy. But this belief couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that millionaires operate from an entirely different mental framework. Their thoughts about money are fundamentally different from ordinary earners, and this mental distinction is what separates the wealthy from everyone else. Understanding the asset versus liability framework, when average earners make a purchase, they typically ask themselves one simple question: can I afford this? It's straightforward, surface-level thinking. A millionaire asks something completely different. They evaluate every financial decision through a lens of assets versus liabilities. The core question becomes, will this purchase put money in my pocket or take money out? This distinction is crucial. An asset generates income or increases in value. A liability drains resources. Warren Buffett, one of the world's most respected investors, has built a
I don't believe in 200-page manuals, because if you put out a 200-page manual, everybody's looking for loopholes, basically. But page and a half, it's very hard for him to...
billion-dollar fortune by consistently choosing assets over liabilities. He purchases undervalued companies with strong fundamentals, investments that produce steady cash flows and reliable returns. Meanwhile, many average earners purchase things that look impressive, but actually make them poorer. Luxury cars, designer clothes, and expensive status symbols all fall into the liability category. They feel good to own, but they depreciate rapidly and generate no income. This fundamental difference in thinking, assets versus liabilities, has been the dividing line between wealth and financial struggle for countless people. Millionaires don't see money as something to spend. They see it as a tool to be deployed strategically into income-generating vehicles. This reframing completely changes the financial outcomes over a lifetime. The time horizon mindset difference. Another massive distinction exists in how millionaires view time. The average person operates with a short-term perspective. They focus on monthly budgets, immediate gratification, and meeting their financial needs right now. A millionaire thinks in decades. Warren Buffett didn't build his empire expecting to get rich in 30 days.
When you got out of school here, you got a punch card with 20 punches on it. And every financial decision you made, you used up a punch.
He established 5-year and 10-year goals. The wealthiest individuals play what's called forever games. They understand that compound growth, whether it's money, knowledge, or relationships, requires patience and consistent effort over extended periods. This patience is deliberately cultivated. It's not natural. Elon Musk invested in Tesla for years while it accumulated massive losses.
If you say, people often talk about solving global poverty, or essentially, how do we give everyone...
Between 2010 and 2018 alone, Tesla recorded over $6 billion in losses. Most people would have abandoned the venture. But Musk maintained his long-term vision. He understood that building revolutionary technology doesn't happen overnight. He sacrificed immediate returns for decades to build a company that ultimately became worth trillions of dollars. The millionaire mindset fundamentally trusts the power of time. It recognizes that consistent action, applied over years and decades, produces exponential results that short-term thinking can never achieve. Abundance thinking versus scarcity thinking. The most important psychological difference between millionaires and average earners operate from a scarcity mindset. They focus on what they cannot afford, how limited their resources are, and what they have to give up. This fear-based thinking prevents them from seeing opportunities. When a scarcity-minded person encounters a new business venture or investment opportunity, they immediately notice reasons why it won't work. They see obstacles instead of possibilities. A millionaire operates from abundance thinking. They focus on creating new sources of wealth and expanding what's possible. When faced with the same opportunity, they ask how they can make it work. This mindset shift opens doors that remain completely invisible to the scarcity-minded. She had legitimate reasons to operate from scarcity. Instead, she adopted an abundance mindset early in her career. She believed in possibilities. She trusted that opportunities existed and that she could attract them. This psychological orientation led her to take risks, pursue her vision, and ultimately build a multi-billion-dollar media empire. The difference isn't that millionaires have more resources initially. It's that they believe more resources can be created. They focus on expanding the pie rather than fighting over smaller slices. This abundance orientation directly influences their financial decisions and opens pathways that fear-based thinking keeps locked away. Shifting from earning to creating multiple streams, one of the most fundamental millionaire principles is moving away from the idea of earning a single income. Average earners typically rely on one job, one paycheck, one source of income. If that job ends, they're vulnerable. They're focused on minimizing expenses, budgeting carefully, and saving whatever they can. You can only cut expenses so far. You can only save so much from a limited income. But if you increase income, you remove these constraints entirely. More money solves more problems than budgeting ever could. Millionaires focus obsessively on creating multiple income streams. Some come from employment, some from investments, some from business ventures, some from passive sources. This diversification provides security and accelerates wealth building dramatically. He built SpaceX, Neuralink, and other ventures. By creating multiple income channels, this isn't about getting rich quick. It's about systematically building alternative income sources that compound over time. Each new revenue stream generates returns that can be reinvested into other opportunities, creating exponential growth. The importance of emotional detachment from money. Millionaires develop emotional detachment from financial decisions. Average earners often make money choices based on fear, impulse, excitement, or social pressure. They buy things to impress others or reduce anxiety. They avoid investments because they're scared. They hold on to losing positions because they're emotionally attached. These emotional responses derail wealth building. Millionaires separate emotion from financial strategy. They develop psychological discipline around money. They can look at a purchase rationally and ask whether it serves their long-term wealth-building goals, regardless of how much they want it emotionally. This emotional regulation is crucial, and someone who maintains focus on their bigger vision, who, despite having billions of dollars, live relatively modest lifestyles. They've divorced their sense of worth from their possessions. They measure success through their impact and their income generating power, not through what they own. This emotional detachment also helps millionaires take calculated risks that others avoid. They don't let fear of failure paralyze them. They understand that failure is data, not disaster. When something doesn't work, they extract the lesson and move forward. Constant learning as a lifestyle. The final cornerstone of millionaire thinking is the commitment to constant learning and growth. He spends 80% of his time reading and thinking. Bill Gates reads more than 50 books annually. Oprah attributes much of her wisdom to voracious reading and studying human psychology. These aren't exceptional people reading for pleasure. They're systematically building knowledge to increase their decision-making quality and create new opportunities. This commitment to learning compounds. The more you understand about finance, business, psychology, and how markets work, the faster you can learn additional concepts. New ideas build upon previous knowledge. This knowledge snowball effect means that invested learning generates exponential returns. Average earners often believe they already know enough. They stop learning after school ends. Millionaires adopt a beginner's mind. They remain curious. They understand that every field contains opportunities for learning, and that knowledge is the greatest investment available. This psychological approach to continuous improvement separates those who stagnate from those who build lasting wealth and influence. The millionaire mindset isn't something you're born with. It's not determined by your background or your starting circumstances. It's a framework that can be learned, practiced, and mastered. By shifting your thinking about money from scarcity to abundance, from short-term to long-term, from liabilities to assets, and from emotion to strategy, you begin walking the same mental path that millionaires have walked. The journey requires discipline, consistency, and patience. But the destination, a life of financial freedom and the ability to create the impact you desire, makes the journey absolutely worthwhile.